was saying, Dante, that I read a book some years ago when I was a young man in my early 20s. I was in college, probably at the seminary. The title of the book is Celebration of Disciplines by Richard Foster. Powerful book.
Who was that?
Richard Foster is a inspirational writer. I think he was a theologian or something like that, but he writes inspirational books, Christian books. But he was a theologian, I believe. Richard Foster. He wrote Celebration of Disciplines, a powerful, and I think it was a best-selling book. And the book really helped me because it talked about the discipline. The book was about spiritual disciplines. It was about the importance of growing. I guess it was a book written for Christians, but not just for Christians. Anyone actually, who inspired to be better. Yes, who inspired to grow. Probably I should get a copy I could get that book for you. Maybe it's still in print. I'm not sure. It's a powerful book. I kept that book like it was a Bible growing up. But it was called Celebration of Disciplines. And what I mean by disciplines, it's...
Do you still have that Bible?
If I have the book?
Well, the book, yes.
In Jamaica, my mom said to me, I left a lot of books in Jamaica. And I believe that was one of them. But I've been reading for a very long time. I lived in the library when I was growing up as a child. I wanted to be like an Einstein. So, and I didn't grow up in a strong context that appreciated and encouraged academia in a very higher level way. It was just probably to get an education so that now you can get a job. That's it. But in my mind, growing up as a child, I wanted academic excellence. I wanted a kind of excellence. And I struggled to read and write growing up. I did.
That was different with me.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I had that mindset, but things have turned out different as far as me providing for my family. So I cannot say that it was different, because it was the same, but I cannot pursue those dreams as of yet until now. But yeah, sorry to
No, that's fine. That's okay. I mean, but the book talks about Celebration of Discipline, Richard Foster. It's the celebrating the disciplines. The book was about growing up. It was about, because I think it's based on a theology of salvation, of the theology of the already but the not yet, the theology of grace as expounded by the Pauline scriptures, especially in Romans. I think in Romans 5 or something like that. It's a theology of the already but the not yet, a kind of Calvinistic teaching, or Calvin's theology. A lot of Presbyterian church or some Protestant churches follow a kind of Calvinist theology where salvation comes to us immediately once you accept the teaching, once you accept Christ, or you are baptized into the faith as a child, and then once you accept Christ, you are baptized in the faith, you are saved. But then there's a process, but then you are being saved as well, which is okay. And then there's a concept that you shall be saved. So Richard Foster's celebration of discipline talks about developing the constant transformation of becoming so that you can realize your attitude. Okay? So it's an attitude. So spiritual discipline is like an attitude. Spiritual disciplines is the discipline of the spiritual disciplines include solitude. Solitude was, I read the book many years ago, and the most profound part of the book that I can only remember as one of the spiritual disciplines was solitude. You know what solitude is? Silence. He talked about spending time in silence. He said that was, of course, I was a big philosophy student, and I used to read Socrates, and Socrates says the unexamined life is not worth living. So I thought that it is only in solitude or in silence that we can truly realize what Socrates talks about when he says the unexamined life is not worth living. When there's a lot of noise, then it's difficult to do introspection and to do reflection, because he talks about solitude, and he also talks about, I think he talks about reflection. Something I can't remember where I have to get the book. I think I'm gonna have to get another copy of the book and read it again. But it was powerful. But he talks about how we develop as individuals, and it is by celebrating the disciplines or practicing the disciplines. Okay, which the spiritual disciplines, and one of which is silence, solitude. Okay, and that involves examining oneself or listening to yourself, listening to God, or listening to the universe. Deep listening. It is only in silence, and it's only by staying still. But it's a focused kind of a silence, in a sense, because you are listening to that inner voice that is sometimes clouded by so many things in our lives, by the busyness of our lives, by the id of the mind. You know, Sigmund Freud talks about the id, the ego, and the superego. When he talks about as the self is divided in the id, the ego, and the superego. The id is the body, whatever you want, that pleasure you want to do whatever you want to satisfy that id. It's crazy. The id is crazy. You just want to do that. You want this satisfaction. You want it now. Okay, it just wants to satisfy that. It's a want that you just want to satisfy. Then there is the ego. Okay, and then there is the superego, which speaks to it. The ego is what balances between this id and the superego, create balance.
This is great information.
And I think it is solitude helps to develop the ego. I think it is Richard Foster never talked about Sigmund Freud, but as a student of liberal arts and I'm an interdisciplinary student, I practice it. Looking over my life, I read widely, and my studies are deep. My family calls me a career student, but I find but I read a lot, and I've learned a lot, and I share what I know. And I don't believe, the more you know, the more you realize you don't know. I'm telling you that.
Yeah.
People say, "Oh, you act as if you know so much," but people, I know a lot. I know a lot, and so I will share it. But what I know, in other words, is that by know I mean I have a lot of information. Okay, I write some of them in a book. I went to some of the best schools, and it's just excited to share this, especially with my community, with people who are not necessarily driven by that. And it's good when you tell your story or tell the story from your side. But anyway, the point is that solitude is important. I find that book, Celebration of Discipline, is quite powerful and palpable. It has helped to transform my life because I spend a lot of time in introspection or doing reflection or reflecting on my life. I mean, when I read that book, he talked about a time when it's very practical because he talked about setting up a time to practice solitude or to do solitude, and I guess we need it helps us to be organized. So at the end of the night, I would always sit down and lie on my bed and think about what did I do today? Did I realize my goals today? What it is that I wanted to accomplish? Did I treat anybody inhumanely? Is there anybody who I need to apologize to? Did I do something wrong that I need to change, or do I need to learn something? Or that's part of doing. So it's doing reflection, introspection, solitude, just quietness and examination. It's quite. And then I would, of course, but before I did the solitude, sometimes I would listen to inspirational music, read the scriptures, or some powerful book, probably Tim Elmore's book that talked about how to be a people's person. People don't talk about those books now. All of that is through the door. People not nice anymore. But back in the days, when I was growing up in the 90s and the 80s, there was books about how to be nice to people. And of course, there was always people used to promote customer service. Everything is robotic now, okay, or whatever the case is. But Tim Elmore wrote the book How to Be a People's Person. That's another book that helps to transform my life. Tim Elmore, powerful guy. That book was like a Bible too. There were 3 books that I read a lot when I was growing up. Celebration of Discipline really helped to transform my life. Tim Elmore, How to Be a People's Person, and there was another book. I remembered it and it left me. Celebration of Tim Elmore was a powerful book. There was another one that I had thought about, but it left me. I can't believe I forgot. I'm forgetting that. Solitude, of course, yes, Socrates. I read Socrates. Unexamined Life is Not Worth Living. That was powerful. I remember. John Maxwell. And John Maxwell is on LinkedIn. It's all over LinkedIn. And my exposure to these people came about because of mentorship. I learned about mentoring while at the seminary under the tutelage of the Reverend Dr. Courtney Richards. Powerful man who was from Jamaica, but he went to the US, spent some time in the US, studied, started teaching at Bethel College. He returned to Jamaica, was teaching at the college, and he started a mentoring ministry and leadership ministry. And he came back to Jamaica, and I was at the seminary. It was perfect timing to have had him as a professor. He became my mentor. He mentored a group of us who have gone on to do profound things, but he exposed me to those books. You know what I mean? And I'm grateful to him for that. I haven't spoken to him in a while. I call him Dad. But John Maxwell wrote a book that was quite profound. The book was the 12 Irrefutable Laws of Leadership. 12 Irrefutable Laws of Leadership, John Maxwell. And of course, Richard Foster, Celebration of Disciplines. And yes, Tim Elmore's How to Be a People's Person. Those books have been very profound. Of course, I read the scriptures, I read the Quran. I have the Quran here. Because I read widely, not just Christian literature, but Hindu and Muslim literature, even the Church of Scientology and the Mormon books, and so on. I read widely. No one person have the truth. They have their truth, but I want to learn about various people's truth and how they relate to how God has intervened in their lives, so that they can create, so that they can reflect their understanding of the truth that they received from from God, okay, from the divine. Okay, as I said, I don't believe in privileging any particular idea over another, so long as that idea is not crazy, violent, okay, killing other people, getting rid of humanity for your cause, believing that you are better. Of course, But anyways, those things have helped to shape my life. Those books. And I'm constantly growing and learning, constantly doing different things. Yeah. What is it that you want to do? What is it you want to do? What is it you want to accomplish?
Well, I want to see.
Thank you for listening to this brief episode of the NeoLiberal Round Podcast. Donte and I will pick up from where we left off, and that one will be available in audio and video podcast. And video. This is the NeoLiberal Round Podcast, brought to you by the Neoliberal Corporation, serving the world today to solve tomorrow's challenges by making popular what was the monopoly. And just so you know, our main platform is Spotify for podcasters, and you can find your favorite stream by going to anchor.fm/the neoliberal, and please subscribe for free on any stream and support us by going to anchor.fm/the neoliberal/support. We have a lot of exciting shows coming up, including I'm about to publish my second book, Neoliberal Globalization Reconsidered, Neo-Capitalism and the Death of Nations. That's a long time coming, but we are almost at the end of the editing period, where we were just making some adjustments to the book, but that will be available shortly. In the meantime, please get a copy of my book, Neoliberalism Globalization, Income Inequality, Poverty and Resistance, which is available in all formats, audio, ebook, paperback, hardcover, and it's available at Barnes & Noble, Amazon, Target, Walmart, so on and so forth. You can also visit us at the NeoLiberal Corporation by going to the neoliberal.com or renaldocmckenzie.com and access our books and our services. You can also reach out to me by going to Twitter at the NeoLiberal Co. or Renaldo McKenzie if you want to send me a text. I will respond as quickly as possible. Please, just so you know that we are also available if you go on YouTube. We have a YouTube channel. It's the Neoliberal Round by Renaldo McKenzie. You can go to youtube.com/@Renaldo McKenzie, and then you can go to Renaldo McKenzie to the videos and all our videos. We have over 162 videos. But thank you so much for making it the Neoliberal Corporation. Well, good.